Hello and welcome to the Nova Show, Real Estate Records. I am Danna Castro, your host for today's episode, and today with me I have Jared Field. Jared is a Utah real estate professional with nearly 2 decades of experience and hundreds of closed transactions, leading high-producing teams across multiple markets. With a background in law and mediation, he also brings a strong negotiation-driven approach to helping clients navigate complex deals. He is also known for his leadership and result-focused mindset. Jared has built a reputation for delivering both strategy and consistency in a competitive industry. Today, we're going to talk about his journey and what he sees in today's market. So let's dive right in. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I know we've been chatting for a few months, so it's good to be here.
Yes, I was so excited. Well, for our listeners, could you kind of introduce a bit about who you are?
For sure. My name is Jared Field. I've been a realtor for 17 years, so have seen a lot.
Yes.
And it's been a fun journey.
So you said you started in 2009.
In 2009. So yeah, I'm a little bit more about me. I've married 22 years, 3 kids. And so the journey began when actually I went to law school at BYU, and my wife and I at the time decided that we wanted to buy a home, our first home together. This was in 2007. So for those of us who can remember back then, that was the top of the market. We didn't know back then that we were at the top.
Yeah.
And you would drive around and try to find homes because they were all gone within 24 to 48 hours.
Wow.
So we did find one. We called the listing agent because that's what you did. And long story short, it was a horrible experience. We didn't know what we were doing. We bought this townhome in South Provo. Paid top dollar for it. The agent, obviously, he double-sided. We didn't know about limited agency, very little education on it. So it was a big, rough step into the real estate space.
Yeah.
But through that, it also showed me that there was a need, that there were lots of first-time home buyers like us that deserved better.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought at the time that there has to be something better. But at the time, I was going to law school and was planning to practice law. I did an internship in Southern California, and that's where I'm from. And so was in Utah for school, and fully expected to take a job in California as an attorney and to work out there.
Yeah.
But as we know, in 2008, things started crashing out. So by the time I did my internship, it was very clear that there wouldn't be any job offers coming from that internship. And so when I came back from my 3rd year of law school, I was suddenly now looking for a new opportunity.
Yeah.
And there weren't a lot. The legal profession also took a hit, and a lot of the firms were laying off attorneys. So it was either fighting for jobs that were going to be long hours, less pay. We were pregnant with our 2nd child. We were upside down on our townhouse. And it was a situation of what are we going to do? And again, my wife was not planning to work while we had 2 kids. So there was a lot of pressure. And thankfully, a good friend who was in our neighborhood had started practicing real estate about a year prior. And he was really starting to crush it, even in that market, and was kind of recruiting me.
Wow.
And so with the background, I was also a licensed mediator. And I realized in law school that I really enjoyed conflict resolution and mediation over litigation. I didn't like the posturing, the intensity of conflict. I like bringing people together and working things out. So negotiating, communicating, and being creative. And that, so I was like, well, I could always pursue a career in mediation or some sort of conflict resolution, or, a lot of this is used in real estate.
Wow.
And so that's the beginning of this journey.
Yeah. So you said you were from California, but decided to stay here in Utah. What made you fall in love with Utah?
So I grew up in Southern California, and I'm actually licensed there as well now, and would like to eventually move back there potentially. But I love the mountains. I love the outdoors. Big fisherman. And, over time you make a lot of friends and you settle down. I also, at the time it was a affordable place to live. your money went a lot further here, although arguably now it's getting a lot closer to California.
It is.
But, I also love when you look at the future of Utah with real estate, there are a few states, I think, in the country that you can be as optimistic about with the economy, with housing, with population growth. So I would say the next, 10, 15 years look very, very bright here. Even though we're in a tough market now, we still held up so relatively well compared to most states. And I think that's really a testament of the resiliency and the demand for Utah.
Yeah. What did your wife feel when she was like, "Oh, you're gonna go into real estate"? Like,
My
how
wife,
was that?
yeah, my wife's pretty incredible, and she believes in me. But it was a huge step. So graduated in April of 2009, and it took until I think 6 weeks officially for me to get licensed to be able to practice. It was June, and we had over 6 figures of student loans, student debt. And those were going to start being due within a few months. And I like at the time we were pregnant with our second, and it was we had a mortgage. We were upside down, so we couldn't sell, and so there was a lot of pressure. And my wife was working part time, but the goal wasn't to have her working once I graduated. And so thankfully she believed in me. But that first year, I only closed 7 transactions. And on a lot of them, I was paying a referral fee, and they were short sales, or the average price point at that time was probably $175,000. So I think my gross GCI was $20,000, and that was probably pretty close to what I was spending at the time. I was with, they were $1,200 a month. Everyone likes to complain about broker fees right now.
Yeah.
Back then, you paid to be at a reputable brokerage, and I was with for 8 or 9 years, and it was really hard to leave. They're a great company. My broker, Eric, was incredible, a great mentor, and we had great agents there. But that first year, the first 7, 8 months, I didn't know if we were going to make it.
Yeah.
I got really lucky. At the end of that, I did a flip with my dad with a townhouse that was right next to ours. We got it at, for $100,000 as a short sell. And we ended up selling it, I want to say, for $140,000. And I had put $10,000 of my own money into it, and then our profit was $20,000. So I got another $10,000 back. So in total, when we closed, I got $20,000.
Yeah.
And at the time, that was huge. And it allowed me to implement the business model that I wanted to implement for real estate, which was more based on relationships and referrals, and really to kick off my business. And being at I had access to the hot air balloon, so I would plan events like rides in the hot air balloon. It was tethered, but you can come get a ride, and I'd have maybe a face painter there for the kids and some donuts, and families in our neighborhood would come out and love it. And that's how I built my business, is on relationships and referrals, and networking, really caring for people. I'm not a traditional salesperson. I like to treat real estate more like a professional services. I am there to, almost like an attorney, I'm there to represent, I'm there to advocate, I'm there to educate. I'm not there to sell my clients.
Yeah.
And I was, by getting this injection in funds, I was able to start spending and investing into the people that would eventually become the core, raving fans for my business.
Wow. When you hustled on your first year, what did hustling look like? Because you said you had a lot of referral fees that you were paying.
Yeah, I was going into the office every day. I came from law school and the law firm atmosphere. And so I was coming in with, shirt and tie, and had my little cubicle, and I was, very active on my CRM and making calls and taking any business I could get at the brokerage.
Yeah.
Our broker was an REO, selling lots of bank-owned properties. So there were some leads coming in there. I was working with another kind of a mentor, Steve Bond, who had some deals that he was giving to me. But, at the time when you're desperate, you'll show a home whenever, you'll go visit whatever. And so it really was putting on lots of miles. And I think I did some door knocking. I did flyers in the neighborhood. I tried to educate. It was a lot of hustling. And back then, short sales took 6 to 12 months or more to close. Foreclosures were gutted. And
Yeah.
so there were so many options. I think at the time, I look back at stats, it was only like a third of properties listed actually closed in '09. So, I
Wow.
mean, it was like there were so many options for buyers that they were very gun shy.
Yeah.
And then you were offering on short sales and you didn't know what the bank would actually approve. So just so much uncertainty. And it was through that, though, that I really learned to refine my skills, to really work through a really tough market so that when things started improving, my business was ready to take off.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, how does your business look today?
Yeah. So 2009, I closed 7 deals. The next 2 years, I closed, I think, 28 transactions each year. But that the first 28 transactions were more referrals and smaller deals potentially. And then the next 28, I don't think there were any referrals from agents. This was all generating my own business now. And then the next year, I think I closed 43, and then the next year, 65. So just within 5 years, it really took off, and that's as the market took off. And when you invest in relationships and your SOI, it's not always as immediate as something like Zillow.
Yeah.
People buy. I compare a lot to fishing because I'm a fisherman. Like sometimes fish bite when they're hungry, and they're not always biting. And so, but you still have to invest. You still have to cast, make your casts. You have to switch lures. You have to, keep trying things. But your relationship business, I think, is the best way to build consistency over time, and it's the best way to live. But yes, I also invested. I found Zillow very early on as well. That's how I was able to grow a team. My brother in San Diego bought a home, I think, in 2011, and I was upset that he didn't use me as far as getting a referral. He's one of my best friends, and so he didn't know what he was doing either. So it was his first home, I was like, "How do you find your agent?" And he found it on Zillow in 2011. So I looked into it and started to invest in Zillow at the time. And back then, Zillow was very new, but very different model than what they are today. And I remember this, even spending a few hundred a month felt like a fortune. And now I look back at the amount of leads they were giving us and just laugh. I should have just tripled on that and grew a much larger team and been retired already. But started investing in Zillow. And as my transaction count went up, I hired an assistant. Then I brought on a buyer's agent, then another buyer's agent, and just kind of grew from there.
Wow.
It was, again, I didn't get into this. I'm not a large ego guy. I don't like necessarily being well known or like a lot of attention. I really am more of a private person, and I care for people. I like one-on-ones or small groups.
Yeah.
I'm not a love to go speak at a convention type of person, but I really loved having an impact on these agents' lives. I remember bringing on an agent, and in her first full year with me, she closed over 40 transactions as a mid 20-year-old mom, and it was life-changing for her and her husband and her family. And that really motivated me at the time to try to grow my group to continue to change lives and train agents well, so that the public could receive the representation that they deserved. And it worked really well. But there were hardships. There were agents who they, don't want to pay splits. They think they can, go duplicate what I've created or do it on their own. And, it's part of the industry.
It is.
And, I could say that genuinely from 2013 to 2017, my life and my business hit a level of counterbalance and productivity that is probably the happiest 5 years of my life. And it's when I was much more content with organically growing and just keeping my business more purposeful in the life I wanted to live. But then I can openly acknowledge I started drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit about growing a big team, especially, Gary's 7th level team where you eventually step out of production. You just manage and run a group.
You just have that whole team running itself.
Yep. It sounded great in theory. And as I started to build it, I think I lost focus on what I really wanted. So I grew a team. because I was growing and following their models and had so many good friends and mentors that I made the switch. But, eventually at the peak, my team was probably 30 agents with 7 or 8 admin, and we were closing, 300 transactions a year. But I can honestly say I wasn't as fulfilled or happy. And so, from there, I got to a point where I just felt like it was out of control. I didn't really love what I was doing. I didn't love where the culture of my team had transitioned through COVID.
I do feel like sometimes you kind of have to get there to be like, you know what, maybe this isn't what I wanted,
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Hiring, director of operations and stepping away from relationships, and removing myself. It just wasn't as enjoyable. And I frankly probably it's not in my wheelhouse to just be one of those very, technical managers and operators. And it took I did okay. And without COVID, we would have probably done fine. But I frankly got burnt out. Like I told you earlier, we opened a couple of franchise gym locations in Texas. We were going to expand my team to Austin, Texas.
Wow.
We bought a home out there. Everything was
Wow.
ready to go. And we opened our first gym, and we were 4 months from moving, and COVID hit. And it just turned everything upside down. And we did our best for the next several years to survive that. And through that, I burnt out. I was grinding away, and I knew I needed to make some changes.
Wow. Yeah. So at the end, did you ever open those gyms? Did you just cancel the whole thing? Like,
Yeah, we
what
opened,
did
we
you
lost
guys-
about $2 million on the gyms. It was one of those, like, you hear stories growing up of people losing money or getting ripped off or being taken advantage of. It's like, yeah, that'll never happen to me. I'm too analytical. I have a good radar on, on things. No, it happened, and part of it was COVID, and part of it was the company that we partnered with, the franchise and the leadership of that franchise. And with my attention distracted or split, I couldn't give my real estate team the attention it needed. I couldn't give probably my clients at the time, the real estate business, the attention that I normally do. But at the same time, I wasn't slacking. I was just burnt out.
Yeah.
And so, we eventually had to close one down. We had to transfer the other, and we had to settle with our landlords with both the leases. We had to settle with the franchise. And in the end, it cost us, a couple $1 million and 6 years of time. Our last payments on the gyms are actually in the next 2 months. We're still paying on them. And, I just burnt out. So I made a decision to look for something different, to make some changes. And in that, I had the awesome opportunity to take a job, which I haven't worked as a job, but I took a job as principal broker,
Wow.
which is the brokerage that was over sales at Black Desert. So as they were opening the big golf course down there, the big resort,
I was
it's huge.
trying to connect the dots.
Yeah, huge resort down there.
Wow.
And they needed to, it's a brokerage that was more a boutique brokerage and really it was kind of antiquated in its systems and processes. And they brought me in to kind of run it like my team, to bring everything up to speed.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting for the first time really in my life. I had a salary and I had benefits, but I was also able to still, work part-time as a realtor and still focus on my clients and no longer run a team with all these agents. And so, but it was in St. George. So I was going down there almost every week. There was a lot going on. So I had this opportunity was for about 18 months. I really enjoyed it. And through it was able to see that simplicity and getting back to my roots was really important to me.
So you were able to find yourself again.
Yeah. Stepping away, getting out of the gyms. I was able to breathe again and start looking at life as far as where do I want to be in 5 years? And how can I start building that now so that I can get there instead of being reactive like I had been through COVID and through all those ups and downs. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Is there something that you still kind of hold, like a lesson that you learned through the whole COVID and being a broker and all that pressure that was with you? Is there a lesson that you still have with you to this day?
Well, yeah. Something that I like we talked about before, coming full circle, I think life is to be lived. And there's more to life than real estate. And something that I've seen lately is a lot of realtors, as they get successful, especially with social media and becoming influencers, their identity gets so wrapped into their profession and their identity, into their persona, that a lot of the other aspects of life get neglected. And overall, they're not as happy or fulfilled. You know, a lot of mental health issues, a lot of divorce, a lot of burnout in the space right now. And so coming back to my core values of living a life of counterbalance, keeping, you know, all the different sides of life in perspective, making sure they all get the attention and time that they deserve. Are we neglecting, you know, some relationships? Are we, you know, staying healthy? Are we exploring other hobbies and interests? Are we glued to our phones? You know, which it's something I'm working on, because even with real estate, but also with hobbies and just sometimes social media. And so I'm trying to reconstruct my life in a way that I can find that happiness that I had in 2012, 2013 to 2017, when life felt very much in counterbalance.
Yeah.
Now, granted, back then, real estate was very predictable.
Yes.
We could forecast it, and I could tell my clients basically what to expect, really help, you know, make plans and execute. Now it's just, we have no idea what's going to happen, and it's constantly adjusting and analyzing, and there's a lot of decision fatigue and analysis fatigue. But that being said, we can't be victims. We have to live purposefully and intentionally, and we really need to make sure we're living a life by design, and real estate's part of that. It's not all of it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, learning to, that's my business now. My goal is simple now. It's to close 25 to 35 deals a year. It's to, you know, maintain my team. I have 4 or 5 part-time agents. We might be adding another 1 or 2 full-time, have 1 or 2 admin, and try to close, you know, 100, 120 deals, transactions a year as a team, but do it through relationship and being referral-based, not through being involved with everything, not through constant social media, showing up for every realtor event, and just, you know, keeping it as a job and a profession, not a whole identity.
What is a good work-home balance for you?
Yeah, when I was happiest,
yes,
when I could tell, when I was really thriving, the busy season almost always started after Valentine's Day, so it was mid-February, and the busiest time of year would be then through basically 4th of July up through the end of June. And then July through September was still busy, but you know, would back off a little bit.
Yeah.
And then October through February again would be kind of this off season, and I would let myself be off. So I'd be prepared to work 50, 60, 70 hour weeks, March through June. And I'd back off to more like 40, 50 hour weeks, July through September. And then the rest of the year, I would let myself work 20 hours a week. I would let myself close less and enjoy other parts of life. You know, I love fishing in the outdoors.
Yes.
October is the best month to get out there, September, October. You know, I love to travel. So getting out of Utah in the winter was really important.
Oh, yeah.
So traveling to warmer places. And I'm learning to unplug. So building systems where I could leave and trust that my admin team or that agents on my team could handle me being gone for a week or more.
Yeah.
We didn't get into this to be glued to our phones and to be accessible 24/7. That boundary today is gone by the consumer. They will call or text you all hours of the day.
Every day.
Every day. I mean, you remember growing up, you would never call someone at home or stop by their home. We didn't even have home phone numbers, right?
Yeah.
You'd call their office, and when they were gone, they were gone. And emails didn't get responded to till Monday. Now there's an expectation that our availability is almost just on demand.
24/7.
Yep. So we have to learn to set those expectations with clients, with our other agents, and you know, do our best to manage that. I don't have all the answers there. I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But I know I have to work hard and really be available certain times, and other times I might be a little bit less accessible.
Yeah. So you have always, well, I don't want to say always, but you have been in the position of being a broker and then being a team leader. And has any of that felt like, oh, I shouldn't be in this position? Like, what am I doing? Or have you always been like, you know what? Like, let me help you?
I've always loved to help people succeed. I've always enjoyed being a mentor. I mean, I taught at the MTC for 3 years.
Oh,
I've always kind of been more of a role of leadership. But as the world became more public and more accessible, I found myself backing off a little bit. There's a lot of energy out there,
mm-hmm.
and I still enjoy mentoring and being there for people. I just don't like doing it publicly.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of individuals who have gotten really big
Popular.
and popular through
Yes.
social media, and I've seen the results of that often over time. There's a lot of divorce and mental health issues, or this need to feel accessible at all times. You know, my dream, my fantasy is buying a little condo in Europe and disappearing. And if people suddenly
Beautiful.
say, "Yeah, hey, where did Jared and Lynette go?" Then I'll know that that I accomplished something.
Yeah.
But no, I love people. I love again, I build my business on relationships. But sometimes, yeah, I've thought about it'd be nice to partner. I've tried that as well. I partnered with 2 other agents,
Yeah.
trying to build more of a collective so that I could be still a mentor and be available and still build something, but not be the full face of the business. But I learned very quickly that partnerships are very vulnerable, and you have to rely on others.
Mm-hmm.
And this partnership wasn't for me. I felt like 90% of the work, and then sharing the benefits in a third, and
Yeah.
decide if I'm going to do that, I might as well just do it on
Do
my
the
own.
whole thing. Yeah. No, that's great. When you were in law school and everything, I believe you weren't considering real estate at all at that time. And now that you're in the position of real estate, do you like that you did law, and how has that helped you in your business?
Yeah, my first 2 years of law school, I was not considering real estate, but it was after that second summer internship where I went all in on real estate. So I took a lot of real estate courses in law school. And if I would have done it all over again, I probably would have gotten a joint MBA, or there are some great programs across the country that are masters in real estate development, combined with an MBA or other programs. I probably would have done something like that. But the training and relationships and networking I did in law school, as well as receiving my mediator's license, and as part of that, we'd go to small claims court and mediate for free.
Yeah.
So all of those skills and that practice were extremely helpful getting into real estate. And I think sometimes getting into real estate, doing something else beforehand, so that you have that real world experience before getting into real estate, is very helpful. It helps you relate more to people, to the public, to the people you're serving. And also made some of my best friends and great contacts in law school as well. So that when I graduated, there weren't many realtors at the time that were, had law degrees,
Had law.
mediator's license, had all this experience. I'd already bought a home and had been through that myself. And yeah, it put me in a great position to succeed.
Yeah. It sounds like you love making connections. What is like the best way to create these connections, but not just connections, but in a like personal level?
Yeah, that's a great question. Things have changed since COVID.
Yeah.
When I was growing my team, I would advocate very highly to just live a full life. Go be very active, doing what you enjoy doing. Be authentic. Again, my wife and I ran a lot of Spartan races. So we got very involved with the Spartan community.
Yeah.
And through that, met tons of people, and we'd see them at races, and several deals from there. I got very involved with some fishing communities. And again, transactions came from there. I got, very involved with, like right now, my son and I, we have a little side, Pokemon card business.
Oh, that's so fun.
And we're involved with the Pokemon community here and have closed several deals from that. But as well, I'd like to give back to my clients. So even starting tonight, we're doing a 3-day Parade of Homes group date night for all my past clients. Tonight, we're in South Utah County. Tomorrow night, we're in Central Utah County. And Saturday night, we're in North Utah County. And we're giving them free tickets. There'll be some dinner provided and a tour of a model home with one of our preferred builders. And then we're going to go look at 2 or 3 of the parade homes. It's an event I love doing every year. And, just going out with these clients become friends, and it's great to get back to them, and they've been good to me. But we also do things like, I do an ESPN tournament challenge with thousands of dollars of prizes.
Wow.
We do movie events. We do all types of events, and I invest back in the people who I enjoy and who have given to me. And for me, for quality of life, there's no better model.
I feel like client events are the best because you really get to reconnect with everybody.
Yes.
And then get to even know them better than what you possibly did before.
Yeah, and a lot of them become really close friends over several months, and then all of a sudden they close, they move in, you give them a housewarming gift, and then you don't have any excuse to see them again. So, some become very close personal friends, and we see each other often, but these client events are a great way to reconnect and to see people. And it's always overwhelming for me to see so many people over 17 years who may have bought 3, 4, 5 properties. I've seen them through different stages in life. I've just had my first where past clients referred their kids to buy a first home. I'm like, I can't be that old already, but it's very fulfilling. I've had, individuals refer their parents who then are retiring out here. So, it's just, there is no better compliment than a referral, but like tonight, there will be generations of clients, multi-gener coming together to this group date night, joining me and my wife, and I'm bringing our oldest daughter as well. And it's real. And I love that. I think in this modern day world, we've gotten away from stuff that really matters and real connection. And that's really my focus now in building my business, is getting back to that.
That is so cool. It really is like a full circle moment, like you were saying, because now it's not just like a couple, but now it's like their kids. And that's such an amazing story.
Siblings, a couple words. I've helped the parents, I've helped the kids, I've helped their kids. It's just
friends.
Friends, and they all come together, and it's like, wow, I've become a part of this whole group's family's life, and it's really, really, overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah. Well, for our last question, is there any advice that you would give a new agent that would newly licensed today? Like, how would you help them? Any advice?
Yeah, lots of advice. I'm still figuring it out myself. Real estate has really changed a lot since COVID, but I think what we have to do is plan to be who we want to become, look ahead, and make sure we're building a business that will get us there. There are a lot of agents who pay for leads, who pay, third parties, and it can work really well. But you're also tying yourself to something that you have no control over. They could decide that you have to join their brokerage to get the leads. They can cut you off. They can raise prices. So if you really want to have control of your business, you have to build it that way. And, for me right now, it's really relationships and referrals, investing back in people. I want to do, as many lunches and coffee meetings as I can, just one-on-one, like you said, little events. But for a newer agent, like if I were to move and had to start all over somewhere, I would have no hesitancy joining a team that represented my values and worked the way I work. And there's a lot of value in teams. And I don't think agents appreciate how much energy and cost and effort goes into building a successful team.
Yeah.
And the right ones, it's worth every dime, every percent of the team split. What it saves you and what it gives you in balanced life. Like the idea of rebuilding a large team right now just makes me super anxious. I wouldn't want to do it again. So if I had to start all over somewhere else, I would probably join a group.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I may never be as wealthy as some of the top agents in the state now, or as successful, you would say, as far as real estate goes. But my goal has never been that. It's always been to be the happiest or most fulfilled realtor. And so I think building a business that allows you to accomplish the life that you want to live would be my advice. And keep your head up. Right now, it's tough. It's tough out there. I feel very fortunate that I have 17 years experience and 700-800 past closings that I can lean on.
Yeah.
It is tough out there. So,
but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. And if you can build a business in the tough markets, you will be ready to thrive and to have your business just pop off when things improve.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming in today and doing the podcast with us.
Thank you for having me. This was a pleasure.
And we will catch you guys on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please rate us, like us, and share this podcast with our real estate community. The Nova Show Real Estate Record, sharing raw stories of real estate, failures, lessons, wins, and successes. This is all from Novation Title, bringing a different experience into your world so that we can all uplift each other. Until next time.